It's 7 o'clock.
Hello? Who is this?
Fred Krueger.
Michael Myers.
Hi, I'm Chucky.
I am Dracula.
Tonight, Joe E. Kramer presents the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular, featuring the paranormal investigators of the Poconos. Now, here's your host, Joe E. Kramer.
Well, we are almost there. Halloween is upon us. You know, we didn't get to do it last year, but we're back this year with the Decades of the Dead. The Halloween Spectacular of music. We do it every single Halloween. Absent last year, back this year. Karen and Todd will be here from the Paranormal Investigators of the Poconos. They'll be here after 9 o'clock. So you don't want to miss it. But all those crazy Halloween tunes. Some that you hear all the time, some that you never hear. This one you hear all the time. And you know, it wasn't even written as a Halloween song. It was actually written in March and released in March. So it was like, you know, I think it was March and a year later in March. So anyway, always around Halloween. Michael Jackson, the video cut of Thriller. This is Decades. The Decades of the Dead. The River 105 and 103.5.
It's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark. Under the moonlight, you see a sight that almost stops your heart. You try to scream, but terror takes the sound before you make it. And you start to freeze as horror looks you right between the eyes. You're paralyzed. You hear the door slam and realize there's nowhere left to run. You feel the cold hand and wonder if you ever see the sun. You close your eyes and hope that this is just imagination. Girl, but all the while you hear a creature creeping up behind. You're out of time. They're out to get you. There's demons closing in on every side. They will possess you unless you change that number on your dial. And now is the time for you and I to cuddle close together. Yeah. All through the night, I'll save you from the terror on the screen. I'll make you see.
Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down must stand and face the hounds of hell and rot inside a corpse's shell. The demons squeal in sheer delight. It's you they spy, so plump, so right. For though the groove is hard to beat, yet still you stand with frozen feet. You try to run, you try to scream, but no more sun you'll ever see. For evil reaches from the crypt to crush you in its icy grip. The foulest stench is in the air, the funk of 40,000 years, and grisly ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your doom. And though you fight to stay alive, your body starts to shiver, for no mere mortal can resist the evil of the Thriller.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
This storm is coming like a ghost town. All the clubs are being closed down. This place is coming like a ghost town. Bands won't play no more. Too much fighting on the dance floor.
Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. Halloween coming up on Thursday, of course, tonight. Paranormal investigators of the Poconos, Karen and Todd, will be here talking about some ghostly adventures. That is the specials, by the way. Ghost Town. From 1981. Right here on Decades. Number one in Britain, where they were very successful. They had like 6 or 7 top 40 hits, including 2 number ones. They had an album out last year called Encore. So big in England, not so much in the United States, but that song and a song called Free Nelson Mandela got a lot of airplay right here in the United States. All right, let's keep it going. Decades of the Dead. Men at Work. Remember this one? Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive.
Dr. Heckle works late at the laboratory where things are not as they seem. Dr. Heckle wishes nothing more desperately than to fulfill all his dreams. Letting loose with a scream in the dead of night as he's breaking new ground. Trying his best to unlock all the secrets, but he's not sure what he's found. Dr. Heckle is his own little guinea pig, 'cause they all think he's mad. Sets his sights on the search of a lifetime, and he's never sad. Whoa, it's off to work he goes, in the name of science and all its wonders. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. They are a person who feels good to be alive. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. Believes the underdog will eventually survive. Not long now till the ultimate experiment. He's breaking all the rules. He wants to cure all manner of imbalance in this world of fools. He locks the door and he looks around nervously. He knows there's no one there. He drinks it down and waits for some reaction to all his work and care. Oh hey, hey. He fumbles for what to say. He loves the world except for all the need. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. They are a person who feels good to be alive. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. Believes the underdog will eventually survive. It's out at night he goes, slips easily into conversation. Oh hey, he's cool in every way. Sometimes he loves to sing that old black magic. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. They are a person who feels good to be alive. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. Believes the underdog will eventually survive. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. They are a person who feels good to be alive. This is the story of Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive. Believes the underdog will eventually survive.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
Song too, and if you were into the Doctor Who show, the Time Lord, I guess, was ancient extraterrestrial species in a British science fiction television series, Doctor Who. It's Joey Kramer. It is the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular tonight. A lot of cool Halloween music coming up as we roll through the night. Kieran and Todd will be here after 9 o'clock. The paranormal investigators of the Poconos. We're going to do Hairspray at 8, of course, at 8 o'clock. One of my favorite movies right here. Actually, my favorite horror movie of all time. The first one, anyway. Amityville Horror. Scared the bejeepers out of me. It was out in, was it 79? Am I right? 78, 79. I was like 8 years old. And 2 years later, we got HBO, which made me about 10 years old. And I snuck and watched the Amityville Horror. And I didn't sleep for a good week. Still freaks me out. All right, we got more Halloween stuff coming up. We got Danny Elfman from The Nightmare Before Christmas. DJ Jazzy Jeff, Stevie Wonder, and more right here. It's the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. Around the world, Decades with JoeyKramer.com, the Radio Bold app for your iPhone or Android device, and of course on the River 105 and 103.5, back in less than 90 seconds. Hang on.
The Decades of the Dead.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
With Joe E. Kramer.
Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see. This our town of Halloween. This is Halloween, this is Halloween. Pumpkins scream in the dead of night. This is Halloween, everybody make a scene. Trick or treat, tell the neighbors gonna die of fright. It's our town, everybody scream. This town of Halloween.
I am the one hiding under your bed. Teeth ground sharp and eyes glowing red.
I am the one hiding under your stairs. Fingers like snakes and spiders in my hair. This is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween. In this town we call home. Everyone hail to the pumpkin song.
In this town, don't we love it now? Everybody's waiting for the next surprise.
Round that corner man hiding in the trash can. Something's waiting at the pounce and how you scream.
This is Halloween.
Red and black.
It's slimy green.
Aren't you scared?
Well, that's just fine. Say it once, say it twice, take a chance and roll the dice. Ride with the moon in the dead of night.
Everybody scream! Everybody scream!
I am the clown with the tearaway face.
Here in a flash, gone without a trace.
I am the who in the cold stare.
I am the wind blowing through your hair.
I am the shadow on the moon at night, filling your dreams to the brim with fright.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween.
Halloween, Halloween. Tinderlumpions everywhere. Life's no fun without a good scare.
That's our job.
But we're not mean in our town of Halloween.
In this town, don't we love it now? Everyone's waiting for the next surprise. Skeleton Jack might catch you in the back and
Scream like a banshee, make you jump out of your skin.
this is Halloween, everybody scream.
Won't you please make way for a very special guy?
Lawman Jack is king of the pumpkin patch. Everyone hail to the pumpkin king. Now this is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween.
In this town we call home. Everyone hail to the pumpkin song.
Danny Elfman. The Nightmare Before Christmas, right? I think that's the name of it. Never saw the movie. I really never saw the movie.
This is the Decades of the Dead. Boo.
Boo. The Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. It's a nightmare on my street.
To tell about this guy, you all know me as me scared as hell. He comes to me at night after I call into bed. He's burnt up like a weenie and his name is Fred. He wears the same hat and sweater every single day. And even if it's hot outside, he wears it anyway. He's home when I'm awake, but he shows up when I'm asleep. I can't believe that there's a nightmare on my street. If I remember it right, and we had just gotten back off tour last night. So the gang and I thought that it would be groovy if we summon up the posse and dumb rush the movies. I got Angie, Jeff got Tina, Reddy Rock got some girl I've never seen in my life. That was alright though, cause the lady was chill. Then we dipped to the theater, set to ill, bugging, Cole having a ball. And something about Elm Street was the movie we saw. The way it started was decent, you know, nothing real fancy about this homeboy named Fred and this girl named Nancy. But word, when it was over, I said, yo, that was death. And everything seemed alright when we left. But when I got home and laid down to sleep, that began the nightmare on my street. My room like an oven, my bed soaked with sweat, and man, I was bugging. I checked the clock, it had stopped at 12:30. It had melted, it was so darn hot, and I was thirsty. I wanted something cool to quench my thirst. I thought to myself, yo, this heat is the worst. But when I got downstairs, I noticed something was wrong. I was home all alone, but the TV was on. I thought nothing of it as I grabbed the remote. I pushed the power button, and then I almost choked when I heard this awful voice coming from behind. It said, "You broke a favorite letter, and now you must die." Man, I ain't even wait to see who it was. Broke outside in my drawers and screamed so long, cuz got halfway up the block, I calmed down and stopped screaming, then thought, oh, I get it, I must be dreaming. I strolled back home with a grin on my grill. I figured since this is a dream, I might as well get ill. I walked in the house, the big bad fresh prince, but Freddy killed all that noise real quick. He grabbed me by my neck and said, "Here's what we'll do. We got a lot of work here, me and you. The souls of your friends you and I will claim. You've got the body and I got the brain." I said, "Yo, Fred, I think you got me all wrong. I ain't partners with nobody with nails that long. Look, I'll be honest, man, this team won't work. The girls won't be on you, Fred, your face is all burned." Fred got mad and his head started steaming, but I thought, what the hell, I'm only dreaming. I said, "Please leave, Fred, so I can get some sleep. But give me a call, man, maybe we'll hang out next week." I pat him on the shoulder, said thanks for stopping by. Then I opened up the door and said, "Take care, guy." He got mad, drew back his arm, and slashed my shirt. I laughed at first and thought, hold up, that hurt. It wasn't a dream, man, this guy was for real. I said, "Freddy, Hal, it's been an awful mistake here." No further words, and then I darted upstairs, crashed through my door, then jumped on my bed, pulled the covers up over my head, and said, "Oh, please do something with Fred." He jumped on my bed, ripped through the covers with his claws, tried to get me, but my alarm went off, and then silence. It was a whole new day. I thought, I wasn't scared of him anyway, until I noticed those rips in my sheets, and that was proof that there had been a nightmare on my street. Oh man, I gotta call Jeff. Come on. Come on, Jeff, answer. Come on, man.
Hello?
Jeff, it's Prince, man. Jeff, wake up. Jeff, wake up.
What do you want?
Jeff, wake up, man. Listen to me, Jeff.
It's 3 o'clock
Jeff,
in the morning.
Jeff,
What
would
do
you
you want?
listen to me? Whatever you do, don't fall asleep. Jeff, listen to me. Don't go to sleep,
I'll talk
Jeff.
to you tomorrow.
Jeff,
I'm going to bed.
I'm your DJ now, Prince.
Bloodsucker are you? I am Dracula.
Dracula.
Dracula is our vampire. Dracula.
Count Dracula. Count Dracula.
Dracula is in the house. In the house. I bid you welcome.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
People say I'm crazy and I make no sense, but they don't understand a man's got influence. He's a gigolo, a liar, a man of many faces. So don't be fooled by what you think you see.
the Dead Halloween Spectacular. The movie was Fright Night, and the song was Fright Night. Jade Giles Band on Decades, and The Witch Doctor. This is the cartoon.
Hey, Witch Doctor, give us the magic words.
All right, you go ooh ee ooh ah ah, ting tang, walla walla bing bang.
All right. Ooh ee ooh ah ah, ting tang, walla walla bing bang. Ooh ee ooh ah ah, ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh ee ooh ah ah, ting tang, walla walla bing bang. Ooh ee ooh ah ah, ting tang, walla walla bang bang.
Do 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 do.
I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. And then the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He told me, ooh, ah, ting tang, walla walla bang bang. 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 I told the witch doctor you didn't love me true. I told the witch doctor you didn't love me nice. And then the witch doctor, he gave me this advice. Ooh, ee, ah, ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ting tang, walla walla bang bang. You can keep your love for me just like you were a miser. And I'll admit it was very smart. So I went out to find myself a guy that's so much wiser. And he told me that way to win your heart. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah. 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 Ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Come on and ooh, ee, ah, ah. Ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah. Ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah. Ting tang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah. Ting tang, walla walla bang bang.
You have moved in the haunted house.
We did the Monster Man.
It was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Beware of the blob.
Attack of the Killer Tomato.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
Master, I want to mash. I'll take your chains off later, Frankie. Master, please let me mash. Your next Igor, right after Janusz.
Boris, I still like the Transylvania twist better.
Who asked you, you bloodsucker? Well, Frankie, well. Mash good.
Igor, you're cramping my style.
All right, let's try it with a little bit of soul now. All right, now let's try it without soul.
Somebody stepped on my wing. Look out, my children of the night.
Igor, you're cramping my style. Calm yourselves, my children, calm yourselves. Show you zombies, show you cats and crackers, show my children. I like the twist better.
Oh, it's the father of Halloween now. Bobby Boris Pickett, the late Bobby Boris Pickett, passed away in 2007. The Monster Mash was the big one, of course, but that was the B-side, which was the Monster Mash Party. I always like that one just as much. I always play it every single Halloween. Joey Kramer here. The Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. We have the Paranormal Investigators of the Poconos. They'll be coming up here after 9 o'clock next Saturday night. Tiffany will be with us in the Decades Artist Spotlight. She's got a brand new album out, so next Saturday nights, we will be talking to the one and only Tiffany. And if you don't know who that is, I'm not going to tell you, but she'll be here next Saturday night, 9 o'clock for the Decades Artist Spotlight. Hairspray at 8 coming up next. Don't go anywhere as the Decades of the Dead spectacular of music rolls on right here. Decades with JoeyKramer.com, the Radio Bold app for your iPhone or Android device, and of course, right here on the river, 105 and 103.5. More Decades of the Dead coming up next.
Tonight, Joe E. Kramer presents the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular.
Who is this?
Frankenstein. Boy, Jason.
Jason? Michael Myers.
Dracula is in the house.
Krueger. Freddy Krueger.
He's inside me.
This is the Decades of the Dead, featuring the paranormal investigators of the Poconos. Now, here's your host, Joe E. Kramer.
The Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. The Paranormal Investigators of the Poconos will be in here around 9 o'clock. They'll spend about an hour with us talking ghosts and all that cool stuff about Halloween. Hairspray at 8 is about to hit you right now. We continue with the Halloween. We just played Bobby Boris Pickett, the Monster, the Mash Party. Now we're going to play the Monster Mash. However, a little different version, right? Faster Pussycat, Hairspray at 8. And the Monster Mash.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For a monster from a slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, he did the Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. He did the Monster Mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get a jolt from my electrodes. They did the Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. They did the Monster Mash. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, I was digging the sounds. Eager on chains backed by his band hounds. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with the vocal group, the Crypt Kicker 5. They played the Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. They played the Monster Mash. Out from his coffin, Drax's voice did ring. Seems he was troubled by just one thing. He opened the lid and shook his fist and said,
Whatever happened to my time for making a twist?
it's now the Monster Mash. And it's a graveyard smash. It's caught on in a flash. It's now the Monster Mash. Now everything's cool, Jack's a part of the band. My Monster Mash is the hit of the land. For you, the living, tell them Boris sent you. Then you can monster mash and do my graveyard smash. You catch on in a flash. Then you can monster mash.
This is the Decades of the Dead.
Casey, Hells Bells. It's Joey Kramer, Paranormal Investigators of the Poconos. Will be here coming up after 9 o'clock. Don't want to go anywhere for that. This one, you've heard it in the movies. And I guess it's like one of the ultimate Halloween songs. Fast Way, Trick or Treat. This is Hairspray at 8.
Say don't leave, everything's alright. Everything is cool. Hey dude, say I like your style. It's the way it should. Maybe you'll see someone has put a spell on me. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, steal your soul. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, take control. Knock, knock, knocking for a sweet surprise. It's a trick or treat. See my face, truth in disguise. If ever we should meet, maybe you'll see someone has put a spell on me. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, steal your soul. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, take control. So let's rock, 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 rock. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, steal your soul. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, take control. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, steal your soul. Rock and roll, rocking on a midnight, take control. We're gonna rock it all down.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
Destroyer, it is Kiss, God of Thunder. Right here on Decades, it's Joey Kramer, Paranormal Investigators in Poconos. We'll be by at 9 o'clock at WVP's. Talk a little ghost hunting and horror movies and all that stuff that we usually have on. That'll be coming up after 9 o'clock. Don't go anywhere for that. Next Saturday night, we will be back. And we will have the Decades Artist Spotlight next week. Tiffany will be joining us on the show. We got a lot of guests coming up. Tiffany, of course, will be here. Faye Waybill from the Tubes is going to be on the show. John Parr, St. Elmo's Fire, he'll be joining us. Tom Kiefer will be on talking about his new album. And Christmas, Johnny Mathis will return for a 5th consecutive year for our Christmas show coming up on December 21st. It'll be here before you know it. It's only 7 weeks away. So think of that. We got more Hairspray at 8 coming up next. Don't go anywhere. This is Decades. On the river, 105 and 103.5 around the world. Decades with JoeEKramer.com and the Radio Bold app. Your iPhone or Android device. More Decades coming up in less than 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
The Decades of the Dead.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
With Joe E. Kramer.
You're with your baby, and you're parked alone on a summer night. You're deep in love, but you're deeper in the woods. You think you're doing alright. Did you hear that?
coming to get you, Barbara.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
Part 3 is what it's from. Nightmare on Elm Street movies had some pretty cool Halloween music. It seemed like Dokken always did it, so there's that, right? If you have a fear of Halloween, by the way, you have Samhainophobia. I think that's what it says. I don't have my glasses on. Samhainophobia is the fear of Halloween. Twisted Sister, Burn in Hell, Hairspray and 8.
Welcome to the abandoned land. Come on in, child, take my hand. Here there's no work or play, only one bill to pay. There's just 5 words to say as you go down, down, down. You're gonna burn in hell. I'll burn in hell. You can't believe all the things I've done wrong in my life. Without even trying, I've lived on the edge of a knife. Well, I've played with fire and I don't want to get myself burned. To thine own self be true, so I think that it's time for a turn. Before I burn in hell, I'll burn in hell. Take a good look in your heart, tell me what do you see? It's black and it's dark, now is that how you want it to be? It's up to you, what you do will decide your own fate. Make your choice now, for tomorrow may be far too late. And then you'll burn in hell. Don't you say no evil. I'll burn in hell. Down on me. You're gonna burn in hell. Don't you think no evil. I'll burn in hell. Hear no evil, don't you see no evil, don't you lay no evil down on me. You're gonna burn in hell. Evil, don't you think no evil, don't you play with evil, 'cause I'm free. You're gonna burn in hell. Evil, don't you see no evil, don't you lay no evil down on me. You're gonna burn in hell. No evil, don't you think no evil, don't you play with evil, 'cause I'm free. You're gonna burn in hell. Evil, don't you say no evil. I'll burn in hell. You're gonna burn in hell. Evil, don't you think no evil. I'll burn in hell.
This is the Decades of the Dead. Are you scared?
for To Hell with the Devil, Joey Kramer. Michael Sweet will be joining us. He'll be in the Decades Artist Spotlight coming up either near the end of this year or early in 2020. Next Saturday night, Tiffany with us in the Decades Artist Spotlight. So a lot of stuff coming up. 9 o'clock, Paranormal Investigators of the Poconos. Right now, Ozzy Osbourne.
Break the silence, waking from the dead of night. Vengeance is boiling, his return to kill the light. Then when he's found who he's looking for, listen in all and you'll hear him bark at the moon.
close my eyes. I'm scared to open them. I'm gonna die out here.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
It's
with the thrill back in bed. I'm dirty running all day war. There'll be the risk and the kiss, mommy, and you wanna live my lunch, can't go that tall. But in the silver, with the West Indian, the living is strong. And shout, shout, shout at the devil. Shout, 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 shout at the devil. He's a wolf screaming lonely in the night. He's a blood stain on the stage. He's a tingle in the eyes, being tempted by his life. He's a knife beating back his rage. Planes are waiting to the night, all lonely in the night. My head's spinning right around. But in the signal, the window was standing and delivered me stone. And shout, 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 shout at the devil. 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 Shout, shout,
It is the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular of music here. Are your headphones on over there? All right. The paranormal investigators at the Poconos, they've got there a little early, so Kieran and Todd are here.
Hello, everybody.
Todd?
How you doing?
And I got your name right this time.
I'm very proud. Yep. You
I
did a
didn't
good
even
job.
I didn't even write it down in front of me anywhere.
First time in
I
3
was-
years.
First time in 3 years. I could call you Diane.
I don't think she'll like
no,
that.
Where is she? How come she doesn't come anymore? No offense.
She's taking care of the children at home.
Oh, the dogs.
The dogs.
Ah, I get it. All right, so we're going to talk Halloween and ghost hunting and EVPs coming up after 9 o'clock. The paranormal investigators at the Poconos are here. Plus, we got some more Halloween stuff. Rockwell, Oingo Boingo. What else? The Flirts and more. You like Oingo Boingo?
I do remember them.
And that's it. So coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll be back here and more of the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular on the river, 105 and 103.5 around the world, decadeswithjoekramer.com, and a Radio Bold app for your iPhone or Android device. We will be right back. Hang on.
Tonight, Joe E. Kramer presents the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular.
Trick or treat! Trick or treat! Happy Halloween! Boogeyman is coming! I believe in God and the devil. You may think they scare me, you're probably right. Black cats and goblins on Halloween night. Trick or treat!
This is the Decades of the Dead. Now, the paranormal investigators of the Poconos join your host, Joe E. Kramer.
All right, it's the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular, and as with almost every year for the past 7 years, I guess, how long has it been?
I think it's 7.
7 years. You're like Johnny Mathis. Johnny Mathis joined. Well, you're no Johnny Mathis. I'm sorry, but
I know Johnny Mathis.
personally,
No.
oh well, I do.
I saw him on TV.
Yeah,
As a
well,
kid.
I talked to him on Tuesday.
Good for you.
See,
Does he still have those good pipes?
I actually went to. I took my parents to see him 2 years ago in November, and it was phenomenal. He's incredible, but he's the nicest guy you'd ever want. He's 85 years old now, and I had him on for the first time 5 years ago, and now every Christmas. Well, we recorded obviously before Christmas, but every year he's been with us.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's
And
neat.
he's the nicest guy, because a lot of these interviews I do, they're not like, trying to get them on the air. You got 5 minutes and that's it.
See if you can get Tony Bennett on.
He won't.
I heard he's nice.
I've tried, and
You won't do it?
not that he won't do it. They just have so many. As they
Requests.
get older, they're not doing a lot of it anymore. Like Johnny Mathis still tours and does stuff, but he doesn't do a lot of interviews.
Right.
But he does it because he's done it with Nisha so long that he always comes back and says yes, no
So
problem.
what you're telling us is that we're some type of celebrities now?
No, you guys are easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're nothing. Yeah. It's like being back at work. Yeah, we're
good.
nothing.
I'm being good.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, Todd and Karen are here this year, and in their ghostly adventures. So
Yes, we
Yes.
are. As we always say, paranormal investigators, Poconos. We're also paranormal sightings.
Yes.
PA.com. We have two different groups.
So you've like branched out into 2 locations.
Well, Diane and I started our group, and then Todd was with us. But another group that we all belonged to at one time disbanded, and then everybody came together, and we except some certain people, and then we started the paranormal sightings PA.com. It's a larger group of people. We probably have
How
about
many
20
investigations have you guys done? 'Cause is your website, is that up to date?
My website?
Yeah.
No, I mean I haven't posted any type of.
When was the last time you went on it?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of times when
Because with Facebook now, websites, I know I have a horrible time remembering to update my website. And I will update it every week, but I'll wait till Friday before the show to update next show, and I'll put the date on it.
Right.
So I have a horrible time updating stuff.
Well, I guess everybody really does the Facebook thing now.
And so
I mean,
it's-
I've had the website so long, I just kept it, you know.
And I've always done, because how many investigations have you done off the top of your head?
I mean, all together?
Altogether?
Altogether, since you started doing this.
Wow.
I don't know. Had to be at least
lots.
It's got to be at least 300 easy.
Yeah. I mean, we've been doing this since
Late 90s?
Yeah. Well, we were Tamaqua.
Right. So that was, oh my God. It's a
Making
long
us think.
time.
What did I
We're not
stumped
good-
you here?
We're not good with
Listen,
math. You know,
We're,
And out of
we're paranormal investigators. We're not mathematicians.
Let's,
okay?
let's go with 300. Out of those 300, how many times do you think you've actually found something? Because we know the shows, and we talk about this every year, that every single show on TV, they're always finding Satan in every house they go to.
Well, a lot of times.
Or one of his foot soldiers are there.
A lot of times we'll weed out the ones that we know aren't real during the pre-investigation.
Right.
You'll have, sometimes it's just man-made. Something in the house is doing it. Or...
like on the Brady Bunch. I mean, who would have thought it was Greg?
Exactly. But
and Marcia and the kids, those crazy kids.
They just refab that house.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
I didn't watch it.
I had Barry Williams on the show. He was different.
I heard him on what show was it? It might have been Howard Stern. Or
Yeah, I had him on, and before he went on, before I recorded the first thing, he said, "Now, let's not make this all about the Brady Bunch." He was a nice guy.
Yeah.
But, that's all
That's
he's
all he's
ever
known for.
That's all he's
That's it.
done. His whole,
Yeah.
I mean, he still does the Bradys. I mean, that's what he lives on is the Brady Bunch.
Right.
He really does. I mean, more power to him. I mean.
But I mean, Todd and I mean, we've done pre-investigations that the occupants of the house might be schizophrenic, bipolar. And, you really have to handle it
So they're hearing
delicately.
voices and you're looking around like, I don't hear those voices.
It happens. So
Right, I know.
But a lot of times we might do investigations. We're there for hours, and after we go through all the evidence we find, there's nothing there.
Well, we're going to be talking about a couple of the investigations coming up. Plus, we have EVPs, which will be playing those. So, Decades of the Dead, Halloween Spectacular, the paranormal investigators are here. And Rockwell, somebody's watching me. This is Decades.
I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey, hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home. But why do I always
when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
I'm all dressed up with nowhere to go. Walking with the dead man over my shoulder. I'm all dressed up with nowhere to go. Walking with the dead man over my shoulder.
party. Right here on Decades, our Halloween spectacular that we do every. I didn't get to play the Halloween music last year because we didn't do it until like November 5th or something like. I was looking through my old shows and I'm thinking, did I do a Halloween show last year? And I knew you were here.
We were just a little late.
Yeah, it was like the week after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Surprise! I had surgery and I couldn't.
No
be
kidding.
here. Anyway, we were talking about Gettysburg off the air and the strange things that happened there, and you were talking about a guy that.
Well,
you go.
We normally go in September as a whole group, and the one year we went to the Round Top, and we were trying to like reenact with generals and so on and so forth, and it was about 9:45. We knew the curfew was at 10 o'clock, and the next thing we know, there was an older guy, dressed, came in, had a little hat on, and then he had like a dry cell lantern. He was
I know him well.
Yeah, I know now you do, yeah. And he said to us, it's close to the curfew. You want to get out here. You don't give the government more money than we already do. So we packed up, we left, and our group split up because we were parked two different places.
Right.
And we got back to the motel. We're talking, and the people that left and went the other way said, yeah, we met him down at the storyboard. And the storyboard's like 100 yards from where we were. And they walked out to the street, and they saw him coming out. That would have been 200 yards for a guy in his 60s on uneven ground. And it's like... So it's like, we're talking about this, and then our one friend, her nephew was with, and he said, I saw him with us. And he said he was standing by the tree. And Kieran's wife, Diane, said, no, I was by the tree. He said, yeah, he was standing next to you. And she said, no, nobody was next to me. But I was taking pictures at the time. And they actually have a big, bright light above her nephew's head at that time. And he was like looking back. So we didn't know, what was he, because he came up to us, he told them the same thing. And when we left, there was no sign of him.
And that was the guy who I told you about that actually stood there and talked to us for 15 minutes.
Yes.
And he talked to us and was interacting with us and there was not a lot of people around, so nobody was like standing there with us. And he stood there and he was telling us about the battlefield and different things that, we didn't know, obviously. And he said basically that at the end, you better get off here.
And we never told you the story.
No, that's
all
that
these
thing.
years.
Yeah. You better get off here, similar to that. We're going to, and when we turned around, he was gone, but we figured wherever he went, he was going. And we got off there and talked to him, and they said, this guy's been seen before, and he wasn't a soldier.
No.
He was just looked like a farmer.
Well, we thought it might have
But
been.
we thought maybe he was a reenactor of
We
some
thought
kind.
he was a tour guide.
Tour guide,
or they had like a battlefield watch where citizens go through and they drive through and help the Rangers out. So if they see something, they're supposed to call the Rangers and not approach people. So we thought maybe he was part of that and just like was taking a step further. But
And the one thing, that's why we asked you, we recognized that lantern he had was an old style battery.
But it
like
looked,
an old,
like the big
it looked like a battery, though. And
Yes.
that's what I'm thinking. To us, it looked like, well, he's in character.
yeah.
And he had it with him, and it started to light up because it was getting darker a little bit. And it was, I don't know what time it was. They closed before dark.
yeah, it depends what time of the year it is.
Yeah, whatever.
During the
I don't
summer,
remember what
it's 10
time we
o'clock.
went. It was early or they closed.
Summer, wintertime at 7.
7.
Yeah, it was early. It was getting dark at this point,
Mhm.
and that's when the light lit.
Mhm.
And he said, and we talked to the woman up front. She was like, she laughed. She said, "You don't know how many times I've heard this story about this guy."
Yeah.
She said, and I've been out there, and I can't. Nobody. He just appears, and
See, with us though, he didn't interact that
oh
way.
yeah,
He
that's
he
the
didn't
thing.
talk
He
to us.
interacted with us.
he said something, but then when people talked to him, he just went on and walked by.
This guy interacted with us. Now he didn't ask question he told the stories, but didn't answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't. If we would have asked him something, I don't know what he would. He just told us this story, and we'd say, "Oh wow," and then he'd continue his story again. And the only thing he said to us was at the end, "You better get off here." And it was
It's the same. Yeah, it's probably the same guy.
was very strange.
Yeah.
It's like the guy I saw at the funeral home staring at me. Freaked me out.
Did he give you a number?
I told you the guy when I was delivering papers like 15, 20 years ago that was standing in the thing at 3 a.m. and just staring at me in a suit. Man.
Did he motion
That was
you?
scary.
Did he say, come here?
No, he just stood there and stared at me.
At least he didn't invite you inside.
Crap my pants watching him. All right. We're going to take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we're going to play some EVPs of a couple investigations. That's coming next. The Decades of the Dead, Paranormal Investigators of the Poconos, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
The Decades of the Dead.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
With Joe E. Kramer.
Runs a light and all the papers lie tonight, but falling over you is the news of the day. Angels fall like rain, and love, 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 love is all of heaven away. Races on, I'm on your side, and hearing you, my engines die. I'm in a mood for you, or running away. Stars come down in you, and love, 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 you can't give it away. Inside you, the time moves and she don't fade. The ghost in you, she don't fade. Inside you, the time moves and she don't Don't you go, it makes no sense when all your talk and Superman just take away the time and get in the way. Ain't it just like rain? And love, love, love is only heaven away. Inside you, the time moves and she don't fade. The ghost in you, she don't fade. Inside you, the time moves and she don't fade. The ghost in you, she don't fade. Inside you, the time moves and she don't fade. The ghost in you, she don't fade.
It is the Decades of the Dead Halloween spectacular of of music. It's Joey Kramer here with Karen and with Todd, the paranormal investigators of the Poconos, and we got EVPs. Sorry, I didn't turn you on there.
We're
That's
here.
okay.
Did you say
Anything,
something?
no.
I didn't know if you said something or not.
A lot of people turn me off. That's okay.
Yeah, I haven't been turned on in a while.
No comment.
I'm not saying nothing.
No, that's not true. My wife and I are like teenagers.
I'm not going there
I
either.
love that look. All right, we got some EVPs here, and I'm going to try to read them off here as I so you have an idea of what they are. Because stupid me didn't put them in order.
I didn't.
I just
give
put
them to you in order.
No.
I didn't put them in order. So, the first one says Bronies 418. Don't leave.
Yeah, it was one of our playgrounds. It's an old building that is like right in the corner of an intersection, and it has a rich history. And unfortunately, it's vacant right now. And I would love to try to get it back, where it's safe. But we were in there. That's one of the places we started going, and this was one of the first times that we actually were in the bar, and we were getting ready to leave. And if it's the one I think, there's more than that in that one.
This one's about 25 seconds.
Yeah, it might be more than just don't leave.
All right,
Part of it.
let's give it a listen.
Let's hear it.
Sounds good.
3. Bye.
At first I thought it sounded like it said no wait, but it didn't kind of sound like don't leave.
Are they toying with us?
Right there. I mean, that was part. That wasn't the don't leave was closer to the front of that clip, but at the end there, when Allison said something about what she heard, you heard a little bit in the background.
I don't know why it's coming over in one ear. They were all taped in mono. That's what I noticed when I put them in there. They were all in mono. They weren't in stereo.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that. What do you record them on?
Audacity.
So you record them for
just a regular digital
radio
recorder.
digital.
Yeah.
So we have this one next. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not even going to try to read it.
If you were next door, what are you doing on this side?
We were in the house in one of the towns close by where we live, and I think actually it was Danny's daughter was living there at the time, and she was having a lot of activity. So we were there, and we were doing. It was one of the first spirit boxes we had, which was just a Radio Shack,
a modified Radio Shack AM FM.
FM, yeah, it scans.
I would listen to it again. Hang on a second.
Yep.
If you were next door, what are you doing on this side?
So we asked.
It says
what he was-
something at the end there.
That was it. We asked what you were doing here. We found out he was from the door. It was like
Right.
double home. And when we said, "What are you doing here?" and he said, "Visiting."
That's what I thought he said.
We're going to keep talking.
Wait, wrong one. As you can see, the CD player works really well.
Next door, what are you doing on this side?
Visiting right
Yeah.
there at the end. I heard that.
Yeah.
So the next one is "Don't Be Loud."
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Well, we'll play it first, and then you can
Yeah,
tell.
I'm
You
not
can
sure
say
where
what
that's
it is.
from.
Hang on.
You stumped them.
Let's see.
We're going to keep talking to you all the time.
Don't be loud. I
Yeah,
can hear
you
that.
heard that one.
That's from the same. That's from the same place, I think.
I like that one. I play it again.
We're going to keep talking to you all the time.
Yeah.
And right there at the end, "Don't be loud."
Yeah. I could be wrong, and next time Danny sees me, he'll tell me that's not where it was. So
What's it? I can hear it saying "Don't be loud."
Yeah, that's what we would classify as a Class A EVP because we didn't have to clean. You didn't have to clean it up at all.
that one, I don't think I had to. I mean, there were some here that I did just to.
Well, I
block
tried
out
to.
everything.
I expanded them. I used Adobe Audition, and I turned them up. I noticed a lot of them were in mono, but usually it doesn't matter. Like most of these are in two. Some of them, I guess, were just louder on one side than the other. I don't know.
I guess it all depends which recorder you're using at the time or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got coming up next there.
Tell me your name.
Andy, right at the end.
Same building. That's who we were talking to that said he was visiting. That's one. I think we got that before.
That was the beginning of it, if I remember you told me that. Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me hear it again here. Andy, right there at the end.
Yeah. And now I listen to it, there might be a last name in there.
You started the last name.
Yeah, I heard him start the last name, but I didn't hear it all the way through. But all right, we're going to do more EVPs. We're going to talk to Karen and Todd more coming up in a few minutes. I don't know what that was. Oh, there you go. It's a song. I thought it was another EVP. Yeah. I'm all freaked out. The Flirts.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
In the afterlife, you could be headed for the serious strike. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay.
Afterlife, you could be headed for the serious strike. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay.
People listen attentively, I mean about future calamity. I used to think the idea was obsolete until I heard the old man dampen his feet. This is a place where eternally fire is applied to the body. Teeth are extruded and bones are ground and baked into cakes which are passed around.
Afterlife, you could be headed for the serious strike. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay.
Oh, beauty, talent, fame, money, refinement, top skill and brain. But all the things you tried to hide will be revealed on the other side.
Afterlife, you could be headed for the serious strike. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay.
Now the D and the A and the M and the N and the A and the T and the I O M. Lose your face, lose your name, then give it for a sort of flame. D and the A and the M and the N and the A and the T and the I O M. Lose your face, lose your name, then give it for a sort of flame.
It is the Decades of the Dead. Had to find the right controller there. Squirrel Nut Zippers and Hell. Right here on the Decades of the Dead. It's Joey Kramer. We're here with Karen and Todd, paranormal investigators. And what we were talking. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the guy in Gettysburg, and then we
Oh, we did the EVPs.
We
We
did
were just saying,
EVPs.
we were just talking about there are places that you could, and I can imagine some of the people they actually come out and do it. Probably every Tom, Dick, and Harry are out there with a voice recorder. These places that offer $100 and you could come investigate the place for a
there are a
couple
lot
hours.
of places since this became a really big thing that Diane and I, Todd, we've gone all over. Diane and I over in Cashtown, they had the Cashtown Inn. But we just go there and just stay overnight. And luckily, the night we were there was no other people in the building.
Right.
So that is just right outside of Gettysburg. And we had some activity there. But a lot of places, or some places, are really getting outrageous that they're really gouging the prices to do an investigation.
What is that place in Wilkes-Barre? I don't know if they do that, but they consider one of the haunted places in Pennsylvania.
Wilkes-Barre, I'm not.
There's a place in Wilkes-Barre they were talking. I'll look it up online in between here, but it was on the news that they were talking about how it's considered one of the most haunted places in the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah,
And I'm not
I'd
talking
be
about the
interested.
Smurls or. I would love somebody to get into the Amityville Horror House and be able to do an investigation.
Isn't that for sale again?
They just sold it.
They just sold it.
$220,000
Wow.
for a house they said is now worth close to $2 million.
Yeah.
Now, you're not going to tell me this house has been sold 12 times or whatever, 13 times it was.
I actually...
And they still can't get enough money for it. They had to keep on dropping the price until they sold it.
It did sell through different ownership in the millions. I think the last people who owned it were also the owners of Riverhead Raceway out in Long Island.
Okay.
A little short track. But ever since... I can't remember the people's last name. Lutz. Everybody else who had the house since then has never said they never had paranormal activity in the house. I mean, they had to actually change those half moon windows.
Yeah, they
in
got
the
rid of
front.
the eyes. I know.
They had to change the address.
You buy that house and then, we don't want any attention. Well, what are you buying that house for?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, if you're going to buy that house, you're going to be expected to have people come look at it. Now, I had a friend who was down. They went to a wedding down the street. They were actually at a wedding. So they walked down. They sent me a picture of the house. They said, look where we're at. And she said, it's crazy because the police, it's now a one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
So you go this way, but you can't drive back and forth. But the cops are always patrolling it. So if they see somebody that they don't recognize, or if it's coming around and around and around, they'll pull you over. Now they said they could go on the other side of the lake, and you go in a parking lot there, and you can look at the house all you want, but don't buy the house.
Yeah,
If you don't want...
Oh, here it is. The Wells Street house in Wilkes-Barre.
Never heard of it.
Built in the 1800s, the house has seen a handful of mysterious deaths, numerous suicides, and strange deaths have dubbed the house as the area's own Amityville house.
I never heard of it.
No, I never heard of
The
it.
Wells Street
Also.
house in Wilkes-Barre. Suskin Road. That was another thing that's really haunted, they said. Just Suskin Road itself. Scranton Cultural Center. I've heard about that one. Andy Gavin's Eatery and Pub.
At least you can go there and have dinner and a couple of drinks before you do anything.
Marion Street House, the West Mountain Sanitarium. That one is right up the street from this studio. When we were up in Scranton, when they were rebuilding this, the sanitarium was up the road.
No kidding.
That road, West Mountain Road, is very freaky.
A lot of these places, it's hard for us to get in. That people, they don't want any more publicity of that it might be haunted. Some people do welcome it.
Yeah, some people want it.
All right, let's listen to another one of these AVPs before we take a break. You're going to hang out till like 10:15, so we're going to...
Whatever time you'll let us stay here.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm just hanging out.
Neither are we. We didn't bring any money to gamble with, so...
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at this one. This one says, this is in Gettysburg. Little Round Top.
Yeah, I think I think that one I was actually there by myself. I just took a weekend and went out, and I was asking a question, and I was just asking questions, not really getting anything off the spirit box. And I said, "Are you allowed to tell me what your rank is?" And I got
I
response.
remember I heard this one when I was editing it. Okay.
Are you allowed to tell me what your rank is? Right there.
I said no.
Yep. Nope. And it was pretty quick and pretty loud.
Now, is that the spirit box that makes that noise?
Yeah.
The clicking noise, yes.
It has
That's
a
when
mute-
that's when it's scanning through the different frequencies, and we can set.
Are you allowed to tell me what your rank is?
Yeah, I can hear that. Do you ever think of bringing a TV out there, like in Poltergeist, and just put this white noise? That was the biggest thing in the 80s and 90s. People talked about white noise.
Well, I brought the laptop out once, and were you
I was
there?
with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I put it on a rock in the middle of one of the battlefields. Now, I always make mistakes between the Confederates and the
Union.
The Union.
Yeah.
How could you make a mistake between Confederates and Union?
Todd is Mr. Gettysburg. Me, I'm.
It's like asking some millennials who won the Civil War.
I am Mr.
Germany?
Stupid. I am Mr. Stupid when it comes
Who
to
won?
Gettysburg.
And then I was watching the videos on YouTube. Who won, the North or the South? The South.
But what we did, I took that was a Confederate battlefield. I think that area, right?
No, well, it's actually both, because I think where we were, it was where the Union line was, as I choked myself here. And then the Confederates attacked that line.
So whatever, I forget what I did, whatever side it was, I played the other side's music through the computer.
That's smart.
And all of a sudden it looked like it was attacked by I don't believe in the orbs. It's so hard to tell, but the computer screen was still up, but the thing was attacked by all these different spots going.
Well, you play the other. It's like going to a Notre Dame game or Penn State game and playing the Notre Dame fight.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it was just something Todd and I were talking about. I said, I've got to try this. So I downloaded the music, and it was interesting to see
so you
what
were
happened.
instigating them.
Oh yes.
Yes. I figured. All right, we got to take a quick break here. We'll come back. Got a couple more EVPs. Talk to Todd and Kieran on the other side of the 10 o'clock hour. This is the Decades Haunted. I can't remember. What's the Decades of the Dead.
Decades of the Dead.
It's the last surgery.
It can be whatever you want it.
The Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. We got more coming up. Decades with JoeyKramer.com, the Radio Bold app for your iPhone or Android device, and right here on the river, 105 and 103.5. We got more coming up next. Hang on.
Tonight, Joe E. Kramer presents the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular.
You know, it's Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
They did the monster man.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
This is the Decades of the Dead. Now, here's your host, Joe E. Kramer.
All right, the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. This Saturday night, the paranormal investigators of the Poconos, Todd and Kieran, are here, and we've been listening to some EVPs and talking about stuff off the air that we can't say on the air.
I take the fifth.
Yeah. I'll take the sixth.
It's not meant for radio. We got to keep it a family show. But my wife doesn't. One thing I always think about. I talked to your wife about it years ago. Is when I dream about a lot of dead people. It's the strangest thing. And when I dream about them, it's not like, it's almost as if they're talking to me.
They're communicating with you.
Yeah, that's what. It's the weirdest thing, and it's random. I have one of my friends who died 5 years ago. He was only in his 40s, and I must dream about him probably every other night.
Well, they say a lot of times that the spirits can come through, and it's easier, and also easier for you to connect with them during your sleep.
I'm either going crazy or I'm a hotspot.
Could be both.
I don't know what it is.
Could be both,
Yeah.
but, it's been 7 years since we've known each other, so I don't know if you're that crazy.
Yeah, well.
Yet.
Between talking to the old guy in Gettysburg, singing the dead guy at the funeral home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and everybody has tried to explain that. Well, maybe it was the Undertaker. I said, okay, so the Undertaker at 3 o'clock in the morning was dressed up, which I know who he was anyway, so it wasn't him, standing in the window staring at me. And he just stood there and like, why would he be doing, except maybe to scare me? It wasn't him. It was an old guy.
Maybe it was the Grim Reaper.
And I swear,
your number coming up.
It was from here to here. That's where the doors were. And he always made me go around the back and put the paper in this little, it was like a little room. There was the door, but there was like a covering where the caskets would be delivered. And I would end up putting the paper a lot of time on the new caskets that were coming in. I would not even go back there after that. I would go in the front, throw it on the thing, and get out of there.
Maybe you just want to be a friend.
It just freaked me out. That, and I told you about the little girl, the Asian girl. I told you about the only way my daughter still freaked out about the time years ago. Tony she's going to be 18 now. She was probably 4 maybe.
You really freaked her out.
What?
You really freaked her out with that one, right?
Well, I was downstairs, and they were in our back room, which is now my studio, but we used to have it as the TV was back there at that time too. And I heard them yell, "Tony, get out of here." And Tony's sitting next to us, and she's looking at us like, "Dad, I didn't do anything, I swear." And I went up there and said, "What are you two doing?" "Tony's bothering us." And I said, "Sammy, Tony's downstairs with us." And her friend looked at me, and they turned white. And I said, "Why?" She goes, "Dad, there was a girl standing in the hall, in the
hallway,
in the opening, the doorway,
yeah.
And standing there and staring at us. And we can only see her from our side here, but we figured it was Tony. And we yelled at her, and she left. And Tony was downstairs with us the whole time. And there was an Asian family that lived in our house years ago, but I had nothing to do with. I
didn't set that one up now.
I get blamed for things like I put a baby monitor underneath her bed. So when she went to sleep, I would say stuff in the baby monitor. And even like 2 weeks ago, I put my Alexa in her room, and I had my Bluetooth on.
And you were doing?
Well, I got YouTube up, and I like played something from like Nightmare on Elm Street. Ah! She came running out of the room.
Nice father. You have to do something to pass the time.
Oh,
right?
the great thing about having daughters is being able to scare them.
Well,
it's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing in the world.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah. And my dog just sits there looking like, yeah, they got a bunch of idiots here looking around. And my dog, he'll sit there and he'll just stare. And Falco, get out of here, because he'll be just staring at the wall, and she'll be totally
freaking you out.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. That Falco stares. He chases little lights all over. If you have your phone and the reflection is hitting the wall, I'm thinking, Falco, most German Shepherds are finding drugs, dead people, and stuff. You're chasing the light from the cell phone all around.
You must think he's a cat.
Oh my God. The cat continuously harasses that poor dog. Any way he can. All right, we got more EVPs here. This one's Hi Deb.
Yeah, that was actually one that we were doing. Friends of our friend Danny. The father had passed, and we were actually looking for him. We went a couple places, and we actually found him in his house. And this is Danny and another friend member, Allison. They were up in the one bedroom, and I don't know if you can be able to hear it, but if you hear walking, both of them were still. There was no one in the room but them before the Hi Deb comes through.
All right, let's take a listen there.
If there's anybody in here, you have to leave us know that you're here.
You can hear footsteps.
I can hear the footsteps.
Yeah.
Is that you? If you're here, anything you want to say to anybody, you have to leave them know.
Oh, yeah, you can hear that.
Yeah.
And that noise is the spirit box.
No.
What is
I
that?
don't know what that noise is, actually, because when I listened to him before...
It's the spirit box.
Oh, it's the spirit box.
It's the spirit box.
Yeah.
I know. It was on just that one. I couldn't get rid of it. I didn't want to delete any part of it because I didn't want to screw things up.
I think we had that last time.
Yeah, on some
one
of
or
them.
two of them.
Yeah, I don't know. You could hear Hi Deb on there perfectly.
Yeah, but the walking, actually...
And I heard the walking in the beginning, too.
And even before the Hi Deb, you could hear some walking. But I think they had the K2, which, you know what it is with the lights and the...
Yeah.
They actually took that over the bed that was in the room, and it went to red, and they actually used it to outline a body that was on the bed.
Did you ever use baby powder?
No.
No, we
never
haven't.
used that one.
No.
Isn't there one you put baby powder down, you see if any footprints will...
You'll do that if like on a cement floor.
Or is that just
hardwood
Hollywood?
floors. No, you can do that if you wanted to. If you that was happening.
A lot of people do that with their cars in certain areas, too. See if there's handprints.
See, if I would have thought of that, I could have put baby powder outside my daughter's room and then put footprints.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
You're right. She's 21. My older daughter freaks out about it. I should do that.
Unless she's listening now, then she'll be
You got to
looking for it.
videotape it for us.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Anyway, I could scare them is always fantastic.
That's a good one.
I want to talk about your scariest experience you've ever had. And I know you got scratched once or something, didn't you? At a
Choked.
jail?
Yeah, I got
choked
choked.
at a jail. And Ouija boards. Do you ever use Ouija boards?
No. Some people do. I just had this.
But we'll talk about
When
Ouija
we come
boards.
back.
Yeah.
Your scariest experience in Ouija boards. We'll talk again before we wrap things up tonight. That's coming up in a minute. We'll play a little more music right now. The Ramones, Pet Cemetery, The Decades of the Dead.
Under the October with the steamboats, ancient goblins and wallows come at the grand light making a sound. The smell of death is all around. And at night when the cold wind blows, no one cares, nobody knows. I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. Fall addicted to the sacred place. This ain't a dream, I can't escape. Molars
fangs, the clicking of bones, spirits moaning among the tombstones. And at night when the moon is bright, someone cries something ain't right. I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. The moon is full, the air is still. All of a sudden I feel a chill. Victor is grinning, flesh is riding away. Skeleton dance, I curse these days. And at night when the wolves cry out, listen close then you can hear me shout. I don't wanna be buried in a bed cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. I don't wanna be buried in a bed cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. Oh no. Oh no. I don't want to live my life again. Oh no. Oh, I don't want to live my life. Oh, no, no, no. Don't want to live my life. Not again.
The frequency for nightmares.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
Hear the happy feet dancing to the beat of the Freddy. When I die in front, make a line in back, then you're ready. Pick your feet up, swing your arms up to move your head both ways like you see him do. Then jump, repeat to the swinging beat of the Freddy.
Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. That is Do the Freddy. You don't know that one, do you?
Never heard of it.
Everybody says that about my show. Never heard of that one, Kramer.
Well, I had music in the 80s that I listened to, but it might have been different. You know, you have a lot of the Hairspray at 8. Is that on? You play a lot of the Hairspray.
All the hair metal, yeah.
The hair metal. I wasn't much into metal.
Well, you were young when? In the 50s?
Huh?
Said you were a teenager when? In the 1950s?
No, 70s.
Oh, okay. I was just asking.
And 80s.
Todd and I grew up in the 80s, but we didn't know if you were back in...
Actually, I was 70s too. Oh, sorry. That's right.
Yeah,
80s,
you were
yeah.
80s and 90s.
It was the 80s.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm just sitting here.
I was looking at that site again, the Suskin Road. I did the Suskin Road Screamer. That was the one I was saying to you. If you go down Suskin Road and you honk your horn 3 times, supposedly this bride will appear in your rearview mirror or on the side of your car and let out a scream. Makes you want to do it.
I don't know. No. Well, it's like the other one we have. What is that? The Concrete Couch?
Yeah, that was up in like Weatherly.
Yeah, in Weatherly, on the side of the road.
It's an old cemetery.
An old cemetery area, and so it's concrete. It looks like a couch. They say if you sit on it, you're going to die.
My nephew did, and he's
still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Diane and I drove up there, and I laid down on it, so it didn't work.
You never know. All right, we got one more EVP here.
Let's go.
You want us to go?
Yeah, you're gonna have to play it.
All right, we'll give it a listen first.
Make that light go off now. We'll give you 2 minutes. You got to do it now, right now, so we know you're here. And then we'll leave. You want us to go? Do it right now.
Right there.
You want us to go? Yeah.
Well, at the end there, it was actually Danny's daughter's house that we were in, and we were getting ready to leave, and he said, if you want us to go, we're going to be going soon. And at the end, you can hear us say, gone, no fare.
Oh, gone, no fare. Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
The last one I think on here you have is, I'm trying to read it here, just nice to get back in the room.
Yeah, that was one of the first, that was down in the Easton area, and that was one of the first pictures we took where we actually have an apparition in the picture, and this was coincided with that.
A full body apparition?
Half. Like.
Get that one again here.
And that might.
Is that her saying that?
Yep.
Just nice to get back?
Yeah.
What's that? At the end.
I think what happened was we had to do some altering just to pull out some stuff and clear out these things that were, clouding around it.
Because that's as clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when we took the picture, we were in the basement, and there was a cistern in the basement, and we took a picture, and we had it looked like the shoulder part of the woman standing there,
right?
And the cat was actually there's a cat there just staring, and we have something. And at first, we thought it was another one. We thought it was like a button-down jacket, until we looked at it closer, and it took the image of a saw that was off to the left and put it to the front of the picture. So there was a lot of weird things happening in that, along with taking a series of pictures, and there was a string hanging down of the shop light. And through the series of pictures, you can see the string, while there's other lights with strings doing nothing.
Going back and forth?
Yeah.
Now, this last one is me and the ferryman. And it's a true story. My daughter and I, she was on the air with me, and I was telling her the story of the ferryman that I got when I was young from my grandmother, who said, you die, you have to pay the ferryman. That's why they put money on their gravestone. And she always said when they'd be taking you across the river Styx, he would whistle as he went. So we were just talking about this, and we were sitting right here, just the two of us. There was nobody else around. As that when you died, you had you hear that whistling?
Heard it right from the beginning.
Yep.
As that when you died,
right there.
You had
Yes.
That freaked me out.
The ferryman was here.
I told her. I said the ferryman's coming to get you.
Did she have any money with her?
That's what I said. You better put money on the gravestone, and maybe one of us. I'll tell her maybe we're going to die tonight. Don't say that. Oh my God.
Again, scaring your daughter.
Yeah.
So one
Father of the year.
that's what she always says. You're father of the year. Last thing I want to talk about are Ouija boards. Because I have a Ouija board. I mean, mine's a Parker Brothers, but it's a Ouija board nonetheless. So advice if somebody's going to say, I'm going to use my Ouija board tonight, or I'm going to take a Ouija board to a cemetery.
It's all personal preference of what you do. Like the equipment that we use is actually, it does the same thing a Ouija board does.
Right.
But me growing up, Catholic Church was against that. So Ouija boards flipped me out, even though Diane and I have one right in the middle of our living room table. It's like a Gothic type one with a glass cover on it.
Does it ever catch on fire like in Paranormal Activity?
Never.
No? So you're
Never.
telling me that's not true?
I
You're
don't
telling me the Paranormal Activity movies are not real? Why give me that look like?
Speechless again. They are good. They are funny movies. But the Paranormal Activity, no. No, I don't.
Have you seen all 6?
No. After a couple, I stopped.
I bought all of them on Blu-ray. I love that stuff. I love found footage stuff. And the first one was the best. But, I mean...
It's like Blair Witch.
Oh, the remake was terrible, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first Blair Witch freaked me out.
I didn't know they remade
And
it.
that was so stupid that people actually thought it was real.
Oh, yeah. Well, at the time, there was no internet or anything. And nobody... there was internet, but it wasn't like it is now.
Right.
So,
So, it's really, you were able to fool people.
It was easier to fool people about it. I mean, nobody gave away the ending or any of that stuff. Because what's your thing of Ouija boards?
I'm like with Karen. I mean, I've heard of people using it and actually having success with it. But when we use the equipment, like Karen said, we go into an investigation, we try to protect ourselves, make sure that we're doing everything. People who just use that or even our equipment and just go in like a novice and just do it because they've seen other people do it, seen it on the show. They could be bringing people to talk to them, and then they'll be calling us because they can't get rid of them.
Might be some type of attachment.
Yeah.
And you never used it alone.
If you want to do
And you always say goodbye.
Yes. If you're going to use a Ouija board, put it in the middle of the table and it'll do it by itself.
Will it?
I don't know.
You never tried?
Have you ever tried
it? No.
Because in the movies, it was by itself.
And which one movie was this?
Ouija.
And did you believe it?
I wasn't sure.
If it was on the internet.
You never know. I mean,
if it was on the internet, you gotta believe it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The internet never lies.
No, it doesn't lie to you.
Now, your old Gothic one, is it an original or is it like a...
No, it's just it's Gothic looking, I would say.
Do you have a room like the Warrens have?
No. No, we don't.
There's that look again. Like, no, we don't have Annabelle in our house.
We just have a crazy dog.
I hear they're going to open, the Warrens, they're going to open, I guess the daughter wants to open it as almost like a museum.
Well, I know
with all their artifacts and everything they have.
They had to stop. They used to have tours or like a dinner there.
Right.
Because of fire laws and stuff like that. It's actually their house. And
Right.
They couldn't bring that many people through. So I think they had to stop it. Their son-in-law, Tony, was bringing the doll out into restaurants, and they would have a dinner and you can sit down and they have a discussion about it.
Doesn't Zach have some kind of haunted doll or something like that in his museum?
He's got a haunted museum.
Well, in Amityville Part 9, there was a haunted mirror. True story. Kenny gave me like he doesn't know whether I'm telling the truth or not.
I'm looking at you like my granddaughter used to look at me. He's like,
I tell you
"Is he
about
telling the truth?"
about Warren. What was her first name? Oh my God.
Ed and Warren. Ed and
Lorraine.
Lorraine.
Yeah. When Shadow had them on the show, I never got to talk to them, but I was, and her being on the phone just listening to it when she was doing the recording with him, he said the same thing. Like there was like this easy feeling when you were talking to her. She was just such like a
very nice woman.
You were talking to her and you just felt good talking to her.
Yeah, she was very personable.
I mean, she was very. There was like this feeling that everything was okay when you were with her.
Yeah, she was like your grandmother.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah, she came to Pleasant Valley School, and we went to see her.
Yes, the Pleasant Valley was doing some type of fundraiser.
Oh, okay.
And her and her son-in-law came down. They brought, audio and videos of
Pictures and stuff, yeah.
their work throughout the years.
And they were actually in the Smurl house.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking about that, because they went into the... now, who knows what was real and what wasn't, but they seemed very genuine on everything they had and what they did. And they said, there were people heard about the most famous cases, but there were hundreds of cases they did where they found absolutely nothing.
Right.
Right.
I mean, and we always, Todd and I, and even Diane and other investigators, it's hard to say, like you asked me about the Amityville Horror House. I don't know. I wasn't there. And I'm not going to knock another investigator. Right. It's just like other investigators aren't there when we're doing investigations, So, of course, throughout in the 70s, like the Amityville Horror was in the 1970s.
Right.
And they don't have that much documentation. They're going a lot on what the people were saying.
Could you imagine if they turned that into like a haunted bed and breakfast? What people would pay to stay there?
I would wonder if the town of Amityville would let them
Well,
do
yeah,
it.
they probably wouldn't. But I said to my daughter, I said, what if we had offered a night in the Amityville house? As long as you weren't with me, because you'd scare me. So that,
Well, look at the houses. Fall River, they have the Lizzie Borden house.
Right. Shadow stayed at that one, too, the Lizzie Borden. But like the kids, two of the kids from the Amityville have come out with their own things saying, things did happen there that were very weird.
Right.
He said not everything that, in the movies was true, but a lot of weird stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
Strange things that were going on for the days that they were there.
Yeah, they weren't there that long.
28 days.
28 days.
Yeah, 28 days they were there.
But again,
December.
I wasn't there, so it's hard to tell,
You going to tell me Poltergeist wasn't real either?
Didn't the little girl get stuck into the TV?
Right, and they built I
mean, that's
It happened to me once, but I got stuck going through the screen.
Those tube TVs. The new ones are easier, so. Anyway, well, we have the paranormal investigators here. Todd and Kieran are here. They've been coming by every single year. We'll do it again 1 year from today.
Perfect.
If none of us get sucked into a wormhole by then.
Or a TV.
Or anything else. So, do you have anything coming up?
Well, you have the tours.
Yeah, we're helping out a local historical society. They do ghost tours of the town, of different areas that things have happened.
And that's in Lansford?
In Lansford, yes. It's November 9th.
And
you have your Facebook page, right? That's where you update more than anything?
Facebook. The Paranormal Sightings PA. There's a Facebook page there, and also I have ours, but the one that we do a lot of the work with is the Paranormal Sightings of PA.
And if anybody wants to know about this thing in Lansford, they can probably go to the Lansford Historical Society Facebook page. And
I would love to go on a ghost thing. I just I'll do you said, I'll just go to a house and do EVPs. Then I'll be calling you saying, they won't go away. They're in my car.
They're in the back seat.
Get rid of them. Well, as always, it's always fun having you guys here. So
it's
I
always
appreciate
great coming here, Joe.
And we'll do it again next year. We got more music coming up. It's the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular here. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be coming right back. So hang on.
The Decades of the Dead.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
With Joe E. Kramer.
Discos don't open till after dark, and it ain't till 12 till the party really starts. And I always had to be home by 10, right before the fun was about to begin. Crowds of people lined up inside and out, just for one reason, to rock the house. But in the daytime, the streets were clear. You couldn't find a good freak anywhere, cause the freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. 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 Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. Now when freaks get dressed to go out at night. They like to wear leather jackets, chains and spikes. They wear rips and zippers all in their shirts. Real tight pants and fresh mini skirts. All kinds of colors running through their hair. And you can just about spot a freak anywhere. But then again, you could know someone all their life and might not know they're a freak unless you see them at night. Cause the freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. 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 Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. Now the party's jumping, the place is packed, and when the crowd's like this, I'm ready to rap. But before I can buzz a rhyme on the mic, freaks are all over me like white on rice. Freaks come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, but what I like about them most is that they're real good lovers. They do it in the park, they do it in the dark, but most freaks are known for breaking hearts. You can never tell what a freak is thinking of, and you may never catch a freak without at least one glove. They don't walk, when they step, they strut, and 9 times out of 10 they drive you nuts. So take my advice, you don't stand a chance. Freaks are so bad, they got their own dance. So if you wanna live a nice quiet life, do yourself a favor, don't come out at night. Cause freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. Freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Freaks come out at night. Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. Hut 1, hut 2, hut.
Get out to sea. Show me that you deserve to be afraid. Get a little show. Work it out now. Everybody, have a good time. Get a little show. Work it out now. Everybody, won't get one eye. Let it out now. Let it all hang out. Let it out now. Let it all hang out. Dance, get out to sea. Show me that you deserve to be afraid. Dance, get out to sea. Show me that you deserve to be afraid. Dance, get out to sea. Show me that you deserve to be afraid. Get a little down, let it hang out. Everybody, let it hang out. You freak is someone to the down. You freak is someone to the loose. The freaks come out at night. 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 Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. 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 Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. 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 Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. 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 The freaks come out at night.
They're coming to get you, Barbara. The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
Keep on walking that road and I'll follow. Keep on calling my name, I'll be there. And if a mirror should break, it's easy to take. Deep down I know that you care. Well, I'm not superstitious. No. I'm not superstitious. I have no doubt that there's a reason how things turn out. While things are changing from day to day, well, I keep this feeling with me all the way. And I want you to know that you're on my mind every day, all of the time. So keep on walking that road and I'll follow. Keep on calling my name, I'll be there. Yeah. And if a mirror should break,
Might be times of wonder when I'm on my own, trying to find out if love has gone. It might make a difference, it might bring me down, but no superstition is gonna turn things around. And I want you to know that you're on my mind every day, all of the time. So keep on walking that road and I'll follow. Keep on calling my name, I'll be there. Yeah, and if a mirror should break, it's easy to take. Deep down I know that you care. Well, I'm not superstitious. No, no. So keep on walking, and we'll make things right. Yeah, keep on dreaming each and every night. We're gonna make it, and that's what we'll do. Right to the end, girl. We're gonna walk on through. So keep on walking that road, and I'll follow. Keep on calling my name, I'll be there. Yeah, and if the mirror should break, it's easy to take. Deep down I know that you care. So keep on walking that road and I'll follow. Yeah, keep on calling my name, I'll be there. And if the mirror should break, it's easy to take. Deep down I know that you care. Well, I'm not superstitious. No, not superstitious.
The Decades of the Dead.
It's all true. The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
With Joe E. Kramer.
Some make us cry. These clouds, they go
Halloween Spectacular and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I mean, I love the old movies. I really like the old movies from like the 60s and 70s because they're really cheesy, but I mean, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, it doesn't get any cheesier than that. And they actually were going to do a remake when Disney acquired it. Then there was another sale and like 200 projects were canceled. But if you've never seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space, it's a must-see. Without it. Who hasn't seen that or grew up in the 80s? Anyway, got to thank the paranormal investigators of the Poconos, Todd and Karen. Every year they're here. Always a great time. Get to talk about a lot of stuff. Always stay. I block out an hour, but I always have them here longer because we just keep on talking about more and more stuff. Always great. And here's some Halloween facts. Because the movie Halloween was on such a tight budget, which we'll be hearing in a second, the music. There you go. They had to use the cheapest mask they could find for the character Michael Myers, which turned out to be a William Shatner Star Trek mask. True story. Shatner initially didn't know the mask was in his likeness, but when he found out years later, he said he was honored. So when you look at Michael Myers, the mask that he is wearing is actually a mold of William Shatner for Star Trek. True story. You can't make these things up. Halloween, the second highest grossing commercial holiday, next to, guess, ready? It's my drum roll, Christmas. And the first jack-o'-lantern was actually made from turnips. I've never made a nice-looking jack-o'-lantern. My wife and my younger daughter are home now. Younger, she's 18, but are carving their pumpkins. But they keep me out of it because I stink. I'm absolutely horrible at it. All right, we got more decades. We got one more hour left of the Halloween show. A lot of music I wanted to play. I didn't get on. I want to try to get the Ministry in there. We got to play Metallica, Enter Sandman, Echo and the Bunnyman from the Lost Boys soundtrack, and Andrew Gold from 1996. You hear the dance version of it, but the regular version of Spooky, Scary Skeletons. That song. That and more right here. It's Decades, the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. Around the world, decadesofjoeykramer.com, the Radio Bold app for your iPhone or Android device. And of course, right here, the one and only, the River 105 and 103.5. We will be right back. Hang on.
Tonight, Joe E. Kramer presents the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular.
Yeah, my parents just bought a place on Elm Street. You tell me you moved to that big white house with the bars in the window? Yeah, what about it? Some chick was locked in there by her mother and she went crazy.
We got special work to do here, you and me.
This is the Decades of the Dead. Now, here's your host, Joe E. Kramer.
It is the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. Got to thank the paranormal investigators of the Poconos, Kieran and Todd, here with us tonight. If you missed any of that, it'll be up on the website, Decades with JoeyKramer.com. So you do not want to, if you missed it, you have a second chance to hear it. Always fun. They'll be back again next year, I promise. Got one more hour left. And you know what? Then it's the countdown to Christmas and our big Christmas show. I can't seem to do a Thanksgiving show. I don't know what music to play, but anyway. Metallica, Enter Sandman. This is the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular.
the Decades of the Dead.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain when you're strange. No one remembers your name when you're strange. When you're strange. When you're strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, you're strange. Yeah. strange. No one remembers your name when you're strange.
It is Decades, the Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. People Are Strange, Echo and the Bunnymen, that's their remake from the Lost Boys soundtrack, was probably one of the premier soundtracks of the 1980s. And a great movie. Vampires looked like vampires back then. Nowadays, well, they don't look scary at all. Ministry. Every day is Halloween. Decades of the Dead.
Wanna play?
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. Spooky, scary skeletons speak with such a screech. You'll shake and shudder in surprise when you hear these zombies shriek. We're so sorry, skeletons, you're so misunderstood. You only want to socialize, but I don't think we should. A spooky, scary skeleton shouts startling, shrilly screams. They'll sneak from their sarcophagus and just won't leave you be. Spirit supernatural or shy, what's all the fuss? But bags of bones seem so unsafe, it's semi-serious. Spooky, scary skeletons are silly all the same. They'll smile and scrabble slowly by and drive you so insane. Sticks and stones will break your bones, they seldom let you snooze. Spooky, scary skeletons will wake you with a
Spooky, scary skeletons. Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular. All I have is a vision of the guy with the pumpkin on his head dancing around on YouTube to a much vaster version of remix. That's Andrew Gold, by the way. The guy who gave you "Thank You for Being a Friend," you know, the Golden Girls theme. He did, in 1996, he did an album that was called Halloween Howls as Andrew Gold and Friends. So there you go. Passed away not too long ago, 2011, kidney cancer, by the way. Everybody's going. All right, we got more decades. The Decades of the Dead Halloween Spectacular rolls on. I have some more Halloween facts, you ask? Of course I do. 50% of kids prefer to receive chocolate candy for Halloween, compared with 24% who prefer non-chocolate candy and 10% prefer gum. And then there's those who just want the cash, right? The owl is a popular Halloween image. In medieval Europe, owls were thought to be witches. And to hear an owl's call meant someone was about to die. According to Irish legend, jack-o'-lanterns are named after a stingy man named Jack, who, because he tricked the devil several times, was forbidden entrance into both heaven and hell. He was condemned to wander the earth, waving his lantern to lead people away from their paths. So there you go. Just a couple more things on Halloween. Things you don't want to tell your younger children. They'll be scarred for life. All right, we got more decades coming up. We got Zombie. We got the Cranberries coming up. We'll do that one. Run DMC and their version of Ghostbusters, and one of my favorite zombie songs. And I don't even know if it was from like 1999. Down with the Sickness. Gotta love it. We'll do Disturbed too. Right here at the Decades Halloween Spectacular, the Decades of the Dead. And we'll be right back. Hang on.
The Decades of the Dead.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
With Joe E. Kramer.
the Decades of the Dead, Halloween Spectacular, Zombie, The Cranberries, and this is one of my favorite, another cult movie. You gotta love it. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They'll beat you, bash you, squish you, mash you, chew you up for brunch, and finish you off for dinner or lunch. They're marching down the halls. They're crawling up the walls. They're gooey, gushy, squishy, mushy, rotten to the core. They're standing outside your door. Herbert Farbage, while taking out his garbage, he turned around and he did see tomatoes hiding in his tree. Now he's just a memory. I know I'm going to miss her. A tomato ate my sister. Sacramento fell today. They're marching into San Jose. Tomatoes are on their way. The mayor is on vacation. The governor's fled the nation. The police have gone on strike today. The National Guard has run away. Tomatoes will have their day. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They'll beat you, bash you, squish you, mash you, chew you up for brunch, and finish you off for dinner or lunch. Munch, munch, dinner or lunch, munch, munch, dinner or lunch.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
left my boys. The kids at school and I'm no fool and I got no time to waste. So you get up the call, but you trip and fall and try to leave the place. Now it's no dream because you've seen a shadow in the night. But we will come and get it done, so don't worry, save your fright. Now there's the group who likes the troop and you know you can trust us. So don't get nervous cause at your service the local Ghostbusters!
My life to save, all by myself, with no one around. Did not understand a hand coming out the ground. I knew it wasn't mine, it was somebody else. But I didn't care, G, I just knew for help. Then, Ghostbusters! Pack strapped to their back, screaming, Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters attack! We are your friendly neighborhood Ghostbusters. That's what they said to me. We are the busters of any G-H-O-S-T. Ghostbusters! I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Ghostbusters! I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Ghostbusters! Screaming, ghostly ghosts, schooling demons, monster spooks, werewolves and devils. All those things. Nightmares, bad dreams, can be beat. It takes a brave man to stand in the beat. You must be brave, yo, the bravest and most. You must be able to say I ain't afraid of no ghosts. A good sense of humor is important to have. When a ghost tries to scare you, don't make me laugh. They be dusting off ghosts like true Ghostbusters. Go, 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 go. Busters, busters, busters. One time in the house, peace everybody out there. We love ya in Jesus' name. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
This is the Decades of the Dead. Boo.
On the 23rd day of the month of September, in an early year of a decade not too long before our own, the human race suddenly encountered a deadly threat to its very existence. And this terrifying enemy surfaced, as such enemies often do, in the seemingly most innocent and unlikely of places. frequency for nightmares.
The Decades of the Dead with Joe E. Kramer.
It was actually in Dawn of the Dead, I do know that. But whenever I hear that song, you just think of classic Halloween and zombie stuff. And that's going to do it. Another edition of Decades of the Dead done for another year. Last year, we didn't get to do a complete show, so I think we more than made up for it this year. Got to thank the paranormal investigators in the Poconos, Kieran and Todd, who stopped up here and spent about an hour and a half with us. Hey, if you missed it, you could check out Decades with JoeyKramer.com. I'll have that posted up there, and you'll be hearing the complete hour and a half that we spent here on the air. It was always entertaining as usual. So I will talk to you next Saturday night. Now, next Saturday at Decades Artist Spotlight, the one and only teen sensation Tiffany will be with us during the 9 o'clock hour, playing new stuff from her new release. We also have John Parr joining us in the next couple of weeks. Save Fee Waybill from The Tubes will be on. Johnny Mathis in our Christmas show on December 21st, Michael Sweet, Tom Kiefer, and more. Every Saturday night we do it live inside Mohegan Sun Pocono. Around the World, Decades with JoeEKramer.com. The Radio Bold app for your iPhone or Android device. And, of course, right here on the river, 105 and 103.5. See you next Saturday night for more Decades.